What colors should you buy when you first start watercolors? I'm Jess Rice. I'm an art teacher, and beginners are my specialty. The colors that I recommend and that I work with to get started with, and I get this question a lot from my students: what color should I purchase when I first start? I really recommend starting with just 3 colors: a red, a blue, and a yellow. If you get started with those, you can make any colors from those, and you won't overwork your paintings right off the bat. Start simple. The colors that I like to use are a cobalt blue, a rose madder permanent, and a cobalt yellow. This is an aureolin yellow. These colors are all nice and light. I can use them together. They're going to make all sorts of nice colors. My paintings aren't going to go too dark right off the bat. And I've got 3 colors that I need to really think about. So again, cobalt blue, a rose madder permanent, and an aureolin yellow. That's what I'd get started with. I'd recommend that. Then, as you get used to those, you can add some darker colors in. Darker colors that I recommend or that I use are a phthalo blue. This comes in a red shade or a green shade. I prefer the red shade just to get started with. It makes nice purples and really rich browns from that. The red I would recommend is alizarin crimson permanent, and a yellow you can use a new gamboge or quinacridone gold works well. I'm going to use some new gamboge today, so that's what I'm going to show you using that. I just want to show you how these light colors work, how I use them, how I use them in a painting, how transparent they are. You can really see through them. And then I'm going to be adding some of the darker colors in that up against those colors, so you can really see how they work together, how some of them are much lighter and transparent, some are a little bit darker and a little bit more opaque. Getting started with watercolors, you want to use lots of water. Just getting my page nice and wet. I'm using a big 16 round. It's my favorite brush to use. Carries lots of water and lots of paint when I start using it with paint. Let's get my paper nice and wet. This is a 140-pound cold press paper that I'm using. It was a large sheet. I've ripped it down into a smaller sheet, into a quarter sheet. It's kind of my favorite size to work on. I'm going to start with a little bit of aureolin yellow, mix it up out here on my palette, get it all nice and juicy and wet. Make sure it's all mixed in on my brush. Look how nice and light that is. I can see the paper through it. So I usually start with just a few colors, do a couple different areas with that color, let it seep out into the water. But you can still see the paper through all that. It's still staying nice and light. Mix up a little bit of rose madder. Look how nice and light that is. But look at those nice colors those 2 colors make together. They make really nice oranges. Just let those colors mix together. Let the water and the colors mix together. And then the light blue I recommend is cobalt blue. Beautiful color, nice and transparent, stays fairly light, makes really nice purples. Really nice greens when it mixes with that yellow, nice light greens. So just by using those 3 colors, I've actually been able to mix 6 colors out of it. All my primary colors and my secondary colors. Secondary being orange, purple, and green. Primary being red, yellow, and blue. Just let those colors mix together a little bit. Mingle on the page. Now I'm going to start adding some of my darker colors. Maybe this is starting to look like flowers to me. Looks like I've got some nice yellow heads here and some leaf shapes over here. So I can kind of think of this as a big floral arrangement here. I'm going to start in with my darker yellow. This is a new gamboge. It's just a little bit thicker and a little bit richer. than my aureolin yellow. You can see it's a little bit more opaque. Can't see the paper through it quite as much. Other darker color, I'm going to use a little bit of alizarin crimson, permanent, which is another beautiful color. These two colors mixed together, really nice. I like to use the darker colors to cut up against shapes. So I bring that dark color in just to kind of cut those shapes out a little bit. Use a little bit more new gamboge over here. Nice and rich. And here you're really going to see the difference between these two yellows when I put these side by side. You can see how much darker that new gamboge is and how much more it covers the paper. Let's kind of balance it out down here. We'll put just a little bit more of this new gamboge down here. Touch more red. And now let's put in some of those dark blues. The blue I recommend is a phthalo blue red shade. You can get nice darks out of this, and that's why I recommend the phthalo blue and the alizarin crimson. Those two colors together make really rich, rich purples. And you can get nice dark colors with them. And one of the keys of watercolors is getting dark enough in your paintings. So you have to have these darker colors once you get started to make some nice rich darks in your paintings. So I don't use black in my palette, but I'll use these three dark colors, this phthalo blue, alizarin crimson, and new gamboge to make rich, rich, dark, dark purples heading towards black. It's hard to tell that they aren't black. They're just richer in your paintings. Rather than using a black, some artists use black all the time. I just choose not to. I like working with a dark purple. It seems richer to me. And I'm not so apt to get muddy colors. Those colors mix to make a nice green. I want a little bit more green up here. Just add a little bit more phthalo blue. Got that nice dark green that you can start getting with those colors. These lighter colors, you'll never get that rich darkness out of them. So you want to kind of start with your light colors first, get used to them, and then start adding some of these darker colors in. Nice purples. Darker color over here, and you can see how nice and rich you can get these colors, those darker colors. Up against those lighter colors, really dramatic. I think I'd probably stop about there. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'd come back in and maybe draw some shapes in or just kind of refine my painting a little bit more. But that gives you a good idea of what you can start with. Start with three basic colors and get the ones that are fairly light. I recommend cobalt blue, a rose madder permanent, and a cobalt yellow or aureolin yellow for my light colors. So start with those, and then you can add darker colors if you'd like. Phthalo blue, alizarin crimson, permanent, and new gamboge. Good colors to start with. Those will get you on the road to painting beautiful paintings.